In a row on the road, and it starts in the Windy City. We get you set for the Oilers and Blackhawks on the Oil Stream pregame show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show. Hope you're having a lovely Tuesday evening. If you're driving and on your way home, thank you for tuning in. Go slow. Go slow. We got our first major snowfall of the year, obviously the calendar year, and then of the winter, really. So if you're out there driving, we got you for the next hour and a half, getting you set for the Oilers and the Blackhawks. And maybe we can help you relieve some of the tension of that drive. It's Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage filling in for Matt Cassie. And Cass, I spoke with him a little bit today. Still fighting it, still under the weather, but hopefully soon he will be good to go. And his voice has not come back fully yet. So we'll give the Cass, the big man, a night off, and Cass can rest up once again. So Gager will be in for Game Changers later on tonight. And then YouTube Trev holding things down back at the EST studios with our new practicum student, Zach, who I think is getting some training right now under the tutelage of Matthew Awanek and YouTube Trev. And we might see Zach pop up from time to time a little bit later on. I'm not saying when. I'll leave that up to Awanek, but good to have another body in tow as guys return from illness like Lieutenant Eric did. He's still not 100%, but he's getting there. He's getting there. Dusty's back from Davos, and the Cass still on the shelf, but we've got a great bench full of talent, that's for damn sure, at EST with guys like Joaquin Gage and Sean Bell. All right, hit us up in the inbox, 780-218-9999. If you're listening via the audio stream on the Edmonton Sports Talk website, or if you're listening via the TuneIn app, we appreciate you, and we're happy to be along for the ride as you make your way home. And then if you're watching on our YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and check in and say hello as we get you set for tonight's tilt. Let's see what's up with YouTube. Trev, how you doing tonight, pal? Remember when I texted you guys in the afternoon to our EST group chat and I said, those roads are getting nasty. How were they, pal? Because you just got in today, right?
They were nasty, man. It sucks. I hate city driving. Like it took me 10 minutes to drive here this morning at like 4 or whatever it was, like 5 o'clock in the morning. And it's nice. I was like, okay, that's good. I don't mind it at all. But I left at 3:40, like right around 3:40, and I didn't get here till like 4:40. So it took me an hour, and it was ridiculous. Like an hour of driving, that's insane. It like like coming from a small town, it's hard to believe, because usually I can drive from Pincher Creek to Lethbridge in an hour. Like that's 100 kilometers, Tommy. I drove for like 10 kilometers, and it took me an hour. It was brutal. So it sucked. Everyone was driving so slow. There's a little bit, like we got quite a bit of snow, I guess. I had a little nap and I woke up. I'm like, oh, okay, like this is, but like the drivers, like they just forget how to drive. It's freaking brutal. It was, so yeah, I'm a little heated right now, not gonna lie. But rather than that, I mean, it was okay, I guess. I made it here, so that's good.
I'm glad you made it. And if you're getting home or leaving work to get home, you give yourself a little bit extra time and don't rush it, because the conditions do suck out there. And I was in studio early today, Trev, and I was driving home and I'm like, oh, it's getting bad. So I just told Awanek, hey man, I'm just doing the show from the home studio tonight, because I'm not going to get into that traffic. And even though I think I'm only downtown to the West End, it's rough. So go slow, be patient. Some people don't know how to adapt to winter driving the first time we get a major snowfall, and we do have to remember that. And then obviously some people have not experienced city driving with the winter blizzard, basically, like a YouTube Trev here in a good old our town, and it's new to them. So did you find it slick? Were you okay?
It was
turn your headlights on?
Yeah, the headlights were definitely on. I didn't think it was that slick though. Like, yeah, my tires are pretty good. I don't have winter tires on, but they're like the all seasons and they're pretty brand new. So, yeah, I didn't have a big issue really. I was stopping pretty good out there, but man, I can't get over like how slow people were going. It was driving me crazy.
That's part of the commute, man. And yeah, people get spooked the first snowfall, even the second one. But just go slow, be patient, and be courteous to your fellow drivers. But if you are listening to us on your drive home, we appreciate you, and we will get you ready for the Oilers and the Blackhawks. 6:30 our time. That game gets going, and the Oilers looking to make it 8 straight victories. All right, let's just check in with everybody on the nasty chat and in the inbox 780-218-9999. And in the nasty chat, Zedmo says, hello, hockey fans. Hello, Zedmo. Thanks for tuning in. VR Montenegro says, good evening, nasties. Go Oil. Taylor from Indiana says, looking good, Tommy. Jesse Willis just says, Tommy. Taylor from Indiana also adds, it's pissing rain here. Going to be freezing next week, though, getting your Canadian cold front. I thought that this cold front was coming in from the west and making its way out east, and I think it came in from the south of us. I could be wrong. I'm not a meteorologist, but it is that time of year, and we get to share the cold. First snowfall for us. And then Spency 5 cents, he says, Gage, you're getting paid double time since Cass is sick. Yes, he's cashing checks. Faux show, but putting in that extra work, doing a great job. And he's got a tasty Game Changers on the way. I like some of his titles for Game Changers tonight. I think you'll enjoy them as well. Huge thank you to Joaquin Gage for filling in for Cass. All right, let's get to the question of the night. We do have some audio and video that we're going to get to. Gager will join us around 5:40-ish, somewhere around there as we go through the evening. And I put it up to you, our listeners and our viewers. Question of the night is this. On the verge of another 8-game winning streak, how many games do you think the Oilers extend this current heater to? As is tradition that we've brought back from our old shop to the new shop, we put it on the producer of the pregame show to get the first answer in. So question of the night is this, 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. Answer it there. On the verge of another 8-game winning streak, how many games do you think the Oilers extend this current heater to? YouTube Trev, who has said Serenity now about 47 times, if he even understands that reference. How many games do you think the Oilers extend this current heater to?
Well, it still blows my mind, Tommy, that the Oilers' current longest streak ever is 10 games.
9 games.
Isn't? Oh, it's 9 games. Yeah, it's 9 games. So that.
I got you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's insane to me. Like in the 80s, they're just one of the best teams ever, if not the best team ever, and they only put nine wins in a row. So, look, they look ahead to Chicago tonight, which is a very banged up squad, as we'll talk about later in the show. So honestly, Dusty, Lieutenant Eric, we were talking about in the morning show today. This really should be a pretty convincing win for them. I don't want to jinx it, but they beat the San Jose Sharks, whose roster is not that good. But I think that Sharks roster is better than this Blackhawks roster by quite a bit. Not gonna lie, they're just look at the lineup, man. It's so they should win tonight. And then they go to Detroit. Detroit's having a decent year. But the Oilers, they're feeling it right now, Tommy. So honestly, I think it stops. I think they beat Detroit. I think they beat Montreal, but then they're back in Edmonton against Toronto. Toronto's always seemed to I wouldn't say the Oilers have had, a little bit of a struggle beating them. They never seem to, destroy them or anything like that.
Right.
In recent memory, I can't think. So I think it stops there, unfortunately. So what would that be? So it'd be 8, 9. Yeah, 10. That'd be 10. So I think it stops at 10, which would be really, really cool. That's history, Tommy. I witnessed it. We all did. So I'm saying 10 games.
I like it. Good positivity there from YouTube. Trev. 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. I see some answers coming in. Appreciate that very much. On the verge of another 8-game winning streak, how many games do you think the Oilers extend this current heater to? I do think it gets to 10. Maybe they push it to 11, but next week is going to be tougher for sure with Toronto and a Seattle Kraken team that's absolutely on fire. with Joey Decord between the pipes. He has put together a really, really nice stretch. So let us know your thoughts, whether you're listening in your car or via a stereo, perhaps on the radio. 780-218-9999 and nasty chat. I see a bunch of it coming in. I will get to those right away. This one from Justin via the inbox says, TG, Connor Brown gets one as well as CC. That's from Nasty number 36. Appreciate it, Justin, and thank you for being a Nasty Club member. I know that Owanik has them all numbered, and Justin, Nasty number 36. Well done, sir. This one from Big Dave. I'm going to get to Big Dave's text. Says, I think they get to 10 games for sure. More is possible given this month's schedule, but they're pretty close with no formidable opponents coming up. That's from Big Dave. Would be nice to see them hit double digits. It's incredible. In 44 years, 44 seasons now, they haven't hit a 10-game winning streak. 9. They've done it a couple of times. Man, get it done. Get it done, Oil.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense. Like I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. But just looking at it, Tommy, say if they do beat Toronto, yeah, you mentioned Seattle is doing really good, but the Oilers have looked pretty good historically in their 3 seasons. They've looked pretty good against Seattle. But then it's Calgary, Columbus, Chicago. So who knows? They could keep on just winning here.
Possible. Keep in mind the Blackhawks beat the Flames the other night on Sunday. 4-3, and or was it 3-2? I gotta double check that.
I think it was 4-3.
It was 4-3. So this is a banged up Hawks roster. We're gonna go through it right away. You'll get a sense of how bad things are injury wise for the Chicago Blackhawks. And then at the same time, we have to keep in mind that even though a lot of it is like prospects, journeyman NHLers, a couple of legit NHLers, these guys are going to play hungry. They're going to play desperate. They do not want to get embarrassed by the Oilers. They fully comprehend and understand what the Oilers are in the midst of. They fully understand and comprehend how the Oilers come in with so much talent, some of the best players in the world. They do not want to get embarrassed, and desperation can lead to absolutely tremendous performances. So that will be something that has to be on the mind of the Oilers. I think you got to approach it the same way you did against Anaheim and the same way you did against the San Jose Sharks. And you know what? Ottawa gave them a bit of a fit, but they managed to handle that game. They were patient. They clawed out the 3-1 win. Zach Hyman gets the hat trick, and everyone goes home happy on Saturday. But it wasn't the same type of game that we saw against the Sharks or against the Anaheim Ducks. Like the Oilers had to kind of bide their time and work for their opportunities and their goals. The power play obviously converted a couple of times, which was great. But yeah, it wasn't as open, let's say. I want to say easy, but I don't think that's the right word. It wasn't as open for them as that game in Anaheim and as that game in San Jose. So let's go inside the nasty chat. People have had a chance to chime in on the question of the night. On the verge of another 8-game winning streak, how many games do you think the Oilers extend this current heater to? Jesse says they get to 10, then the Leafs put an end to it. Ooh. And then Andy Pandy says 9, and then Montreal surprises the Oilers. We have had trouble with them recently. Dr. Gonzo is predicting at least an 8-game heater by saying 7-1 Edmonton Oilers tonight. Andy says 6-3 tonight. Brown scores 2 for Dry. VR Montenegro says at least 10 wins. They are officially hotter than a hoochie coochie. And then Zedmo says the Habs found their starter. So keep those texts coming in. And then a conversation ensues between all the nasties. I like it. 780-218-9999. I'm going to look one more time in the inbox. Nothing. We're good. Let us know your thoughts. How do you feel about the Oilers' 7-game winning streak? Things are pretty good. It's crazy how different it is when it comes to chaos and destruction and anger and frustration when the team's playing well, as opposed to what we witnessed in the first 5 or 6 weeks. Have you learned and noticed this, Trev?
Wait, sorry. Can you say that last second or that last thing?
How much crazier it is when the team's losing compared to how much it's winning.
Oh my gosh, it's chaos, Tommy. Like it's part of being in the Canadian market. Honestly, it's so stressful. I hate it. So yeah, when it's going good, it's going good, Tommy. But when it's going bad, like I have a hard time. I really do, and I think I speak for all Oilers fans. It's chaos. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It makes things interesting, that's for sure. But pretty easy going when the team is winning and winning a lot. And that's what's been going on with this Edmonton Oilers club. Big Uke checking in. What's up, Big Uke? He says, yes, the Hawks beat the Flames, but the Flames aren't good either. Even if we play our B game tonight, we should be good. Big Uke, I like the confidence. Appreciate the text. Thank you so very much. All right. Let's take a look at lineups for tonight's matchup between the Oilers and the Blackhawks. Edmonton 20-15-1 on the season. The Blackhawks 12-26-2. And like I mentioned, just one win in their last 6 games. It's game number 37 for the Oil. This is the lineup for tonight. As Chris Knoblauch, a minor tweak, if you even notice it. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl with McLeod and Fogle. Ryan between Kane and Connor Brown. And then you got James Hamlin with Adam Ernie and Matthias Janmark. Did you catch it? Did you? Connor Brown gets bumped up to line number 3 with Evander Kane and Derek Ryan. On defense for the Oilers tonight, Darnell Nurse paired up with Cody Ceci, Matthias Ekholm with Evan Bouchard, and then you got Brett Kulak with Vinny Desharnais. Out for the Oilers, Sam Gagner, day-to-day undisclosed. And then Phil Kemp, who was recalled by the club yesterday. For those wondering, Phil Kemp, what the hell's going on here? And it's more so just to have an extra body around. There's no intention on getting him into a game. If they need a defenseman, he's been playing well for a while now, I'm told. And this is more of a nice reward for a longtime prospect. Low likelihood that he gets into playing. It would have to be kind of an emergency type of situation where a guy gets nicked up, maybe on Thursday or Saturday, and that's how Phil Kemp would wind up in action. So he's been playing well. A reward for a longtime prospect. If you're going, why didn't they call up Gleason? Why didn't they call up Broberg? Well, they need them to be playing. So they said, Phil Kemp, you're getting the call. Because if you call up Gleason or Broberg, they're probably not playing. That's how happy they are with the roster right now. And this winning streak certainly leads to that. And then we've heard Joaquin Gage say it a bunch of times. I don't like changing things when it's going good. And it seems like that is the mantra for Chris Knoblauch right now. So Phil Kemp is the extra defenseman on this trip. Sam Gagner, day-to-day undisclosed. Let's go take a look at the Blackhawks now. For tonight, they did get some bodies back for this game, and that's a good thing. I'll go through the lineup, and I'll point out who's coming in. Not that I think that anybody would really notice that. Philip Kurashev between Rem Pitlick, who has just joined the Blackhawks, and Taylor Raddysh. Jason Dickinson, who's been playing one of the few bright spots for the Hawks, between Colin Blackwood and Joey Anderson. Anderson, one of those guys coming back into action. Mackenzie Entwistle with Lucas Reichel and Cole Gutman. Then you've got Zach Sanford between Boris Kachuk and Ryan Donato. Jared Tenorti paired up with Connor Murphy. Alex Vlasic paired up with Jacob Magna. Kevin Korchinski with Nikita Zaitsev. And then I'm going to read you the injured list for the Chicago Blackhawks, and it is significant, and it is players of note, and it is basically like the top 2 lines and their best defensemen. But let's go through it together, shall we? Out for the Blackhawks, Connor Bedard, IR, fractured jaw. Out for the Blackhawks, Taylor Hall, IR knee. Nick Foligno, IR, fractured finger, Anthony Beauvillier, IR, upper body. Tyler Johnson, IR, undisclosed. Seth Jones, IR, shoulder. And then Andreas Athanasiou, IR, groin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forwards and 1 significant defenseman. And I'd say all of those 6 forwards, a couple top line guys, and for sure top 6 guys in there. Bedard, superstar in the making. Hall, Hart Trophy winner, obviously first overall pick. We know him well here in Edmonton. Foligno, former All-Star, captain of the Blue Jackets for a bunch of years. Beauvillier, just a good pro. You can move him around the lineup. Tyler Johnson has been a pretty steady, pretty solid, although oft injured top 6 guy in his career. And then Seth Jones is Seth Jones. He's the pillar on defense for the Hawks, or he's supposed to be. And then Andreas Athanasiou can give you 30 and then can frustrate you by getting 10 the next year, also on the shelf. That brings us to starting goalies. For the Edmonton Oilers, you would think maybe this is a Calvin Pickard night. Not the case. It will be 25-year-old Stuart Skinner, 16-9-1 on the season, 276 goals against average, 898 save percentage with 2 shutouts in 27 games this year. Skinner versus the Blackhawks, 3-0 record, 234 goals against average, 911 save percentage in 3 appearances versus Chicago. And at the other end of the rink, it is 31-year-old Peter Mrazek. 10-13-1 is Mrazek's record. 326 goals against average, 903 save percentage, 1 shutout in 26 games this season. Mrazek versus the Oilers over the course of his career, a 3-4 record, 326 GAA with an 890 save percentage and 2 shutouts in 8 appearances versus the Oil. Those are your starting lineups, your injury ward update from Chicago, as well as your starting goalies. YouTube, Trev, you got anything for me?
No, I'm just finishing exporting some videos, so we'll have those getting out here in the next 2 minutes. I'm sorry, Tommy. I blame it on the roads.
What are you sorry about?
Well, I don't know. Usually we'll. Well, I guess no. We don't play them a little later. So I just I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Are you frazzled?
Yeah, a little bit.
You can't be frazzled in front of the practicum student.
I know. I get nervous, man. This is the first time training. It's very intimidating.
Really? You seemed very comfortable when he was in yesterday for his first shift.
Yeah, I was trying to pawn him off our homemade, what is it? Kahlua.
Right.
Yeah. But he didn't bite on it.
He wasn't ready for it that early in the day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We do have some audio and video to get to. Gager will be dropping by with Game Changers in about 15 minutes. I'm going to take a look at the nasty chat and the inbox, 780-218-9999. If you want to chime in, how you feeling going into tonight's game? Maybe you want to answer the question of the night. As for the nasty chat, I'm going to keep tabs on it for sure. And I'll throw out the question of the night one more time before we go to our first bit of audio and video. So the question of the night is this. On the verge of another 8-game winning streak, how many games do you think the Oilers extend this current heater to? Trev and I think it's easy that they could get to 10. What say you? The franchise record for wins in a row is 9. So maybe they do tie it by Thursday, and potentially by Saturday, they get to 10 wins. All right, let's go inside the Oilers locker room from Chicago, one of the best cities to go visit in the NHL. And let's hear from head coach Chris Knoblauch.
Has moved up with Evander Kane and Derek Ryan. I know you've mentioned Brown's game in the past, that the results will eventually come, but what have you seen that's allowing you to make that statement?
Yeah, he's been making a lot of plays, creating a lot of offense. Hasn't showed up on the score sheet very much, but and he's been playing really well too. And I think it's just more of seeing if we can get a little more out of those 2 lines. And I think they maybe become a little stagnant, haven't been pushing the pace as much as we'd like, and just a little tweak there, and maybe we stimulate something with that 3rd and 4th line.
How do you navigate that as a head coach? We obviously know that Connor Brown is a proud guy and he wants to deliver results, but it's not necessarily going his way, yet he's doing the right things. What's your job in that?
Just continue enforcing the things that he's doing well and not getting away from it. Maybe he's not scoring the goals that he would like to, but if he gets away from playing good defense and giving up chances, well, then we have a problem. But I think everything that he's been doing, he's creating offense, spending more time in the offensive zone. He's doing a lot of good things, and it's only a matter of time before he gets that first goal, and they just build from there.
Would have camp up, is that for depth purposes, or do you expect him to see any time?
Well, not for tonight, but he is for depth purposes, and we have 6 healthy defensemen, so we'll continue using those guys. Yes, it's just us being so far from the West Coast, and if something did happen, we got that option.
How are you for I want to ask you about if you're thinking you're going to put Pickard in on Thursday, but maybe it's too soon to tell. Let me ask you about Skinner instead then. His game is really solidified. How much of it is his game? How much is he playing better? And how much is it a factor of the team playing much better in front of him?
Well, I think for the goaltenders, or anybody for that matter, when there's good structure, everyone's doing their job, there's predictability, it's so much easier to play, whether you're a forward, defenseman, and a goaltender. And I think right now we've had a little more predictability. He knows where the shots are coming, and it's easier to fill in and play hockey, and same for the goaltender. Absolutely, there's breakdowns, but if we can eliminate and reduce the amount of breakdowns and need those key saves, just much easier for the goaltenders, and they know what's expected. So I think it's a little bit of everything. Obviously, he's feeling confident. The team, I think, has been doing a good job defending in front of him, and a lot of that defending is off the rush. So many goals come off the rush, and I think our D have been doing a good job of not being reckless, pinching when it shouldn't be there, and the forwards are back checking, and just the shots being a little more predictable, and rather than being coming from the slot, a few more easy shots from the outside.
When you play a team that's going through what Chicago's going through, I mean, they got 7 or 8 guys from the AHL on this team. How do you approach your club on it? Would you mention the fact that they beat the Calgary Flames in here 2 nights ago?
Well, I think they know that. I think they're paying attention. They would know that what happened the other night. And as always, it's focus on us and what we need to be doing. And if we take things for granted and not work as like we should, then we would get into trouble. So things are going well right now. We want to continue pushing and continue getting better.
Chris, Connor McDavid is 2 points behind Glenn Anderson from passing him on the Oilers' all-time scoring list. 900-plus points before the age of 27. How do you wrap your head around that, Chris?
I don't think I can. I think it's pretty impressive. And like you said, doesn't seem that long ago, and he was in junior hockey, and for him to rack up that many points in that time, it's pretty remarkable.
How disappointing for the fans back home, and certainly here, not to see a Bedard-McDavid matchup tonight.
Yeah, well, we had that opportunity about a month ago with those two. It was exciting, 2 very exciting hockey players, and it's unfortunate that not only the fans but anyone who's at home watching or coaches coaching. It's nice to see those stars play against each other.
All right, there's head coach Chris Knoblauch as the Oilers seek an 8th straight victory. Yeah, McDavid on fire, hit 900 points. Could he creep up to 1,000 this year? Unlikely, but never say never, never count him out. And by the way, on the cusp of catching Glenn Anderson on the team's all-time list. He has had a great stretch of games here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's on a 7-game point streak. He's got 13 points in that 7. He's got 3 goals and 10 assists. Absolutely crushing it. He is clearly healthy, and the Oilers are reaping the rewards, and they're also adding in the win column, which is the most important thing. All right, let's go back to Chicago. We'll hear from Connor Brown because he has been promoted to the 3rd line tonight with Derek Ryan and Evander Kane.
Evander Kane and Derek Ryan, just maybe talk about the trio of you guys and how you hope to complement their skill set.
Well, I think that Kane is a shooter, and I'm primarily a disher, and so I think that that's something that could work towards us. Obviously, we had an opportunity to play together a little early in the season. I think the season's gone on, and the game's evolved, and so I'm excited. It'll be fun.
What have your conversations with your head coach look like? Because he spoke to the media, and he said that you're doing a lot of good things right now. It's only a matter of time until they start kind of going in for you.
Yeah, I think that he's assured me of that. I think that I'm in on a lot of chances, and that's kind of the way in which I gauge my game. Not really on the results, just kind of what I'm creating out there, and I know that I've been in lots of chances, and I feel good, and just enjoying it.
How do you navigate that? You're creating a lot of chances off your own stick, but not necessarily going in right now. How do you make sure that you're in the right mental space moving forward?
Well, I think I'm there. I mean, just having fun. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. I think, we've been a pretty, hard-working but relaxed group in here, and I think it's, it leads to good, competent hockey, and I think that's, me personally and the group.
7 straight victories for your club. What are you liking from your team right now?
Well, just that. I think we're a confident club right now. We got we got a high-end talent and depth, and so I think we have a lot to be confident about. Just enjoy it. I mean, I think that's been a big as of late. I think in practice games, we're having fun and we're making plays.
Your team is the best team in the National Hockey League over a large stretch of time right now. We know how the start of the season went. What did that challenge at the start of the year kind of teach you guys? How did that maybe ground you guys, maybe recalibrate?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime you go through adversity like that, you come out of the other side a little bit stronger. And I think that's definitely what's happened with our group. Obviously, it was a bit of a whirlwind start, and I think we're better for it.
Despite the losses at the start of the year, it seemed like none of you guys lost confidence within each other. You guys are still having fun going to the rink. What does it say about the group?
Well, yeah, it's a close-knit group. I mean, we have a lot of fun in here together, and we work hard together, and so. Yeah, it's. I think that even in our darkest days, and we knew that we were a good team and we were confident. It's just about tapping into that. I mean, and we're doing it now, so it's been fun.
All right, we talked about your coach. Last question for me: what can you talk about when it comes to your coach's ability to kind of, have these conversations and make sure that everyone's on the same page and really empower his players as we always do?
Yeah, I know I think that. I think that he does a good job of that. I think, he's the way he wants us to play and giving us roles and stuff. And I think, results have been come, and I think that's been a part of it.
All right, Connor Brown there, 3 assists this season, -8, 4 penalty minutes, and he's played 29 games. He said he's having fun. He's going to have fun. Mentioned fun numerous times going into this game against the Chicago Blackhawks, and we'll see if he can get into the goal column tonight. It's been a tough go for Connor Brown, certainly. All right, we're going to dip into the Blackhawks locker room. We're going to touch base with Luke Richardson first, so let's get to him.
Get Raddysh and Joey Anderson back tonight, so that's good news. And Peter's starting in net, and and we also have Rem available, obviously here from he was weather permitting, he got into town.
Did you know that Anderson was going to be available? And you talked about Raddysh being close, but
yeah, no, I thought Joey was ahead of Raddysh, but they're both ready to go. I think they just needed that morning skate just to make sure and test it. So it's good news for us today. We just didn't plan for anything until they got through that morning skate.
Is Crevier going back to Rockford?
Crevier is going to be sent back down to Rockford with a good report. I thought he played really well for his first time up, and we just don't want him sitting around. We want him to continue to build on that.
And how close is Jones?
Next you got the next progression, which was today's morning skate. So we want to get a practice in with some bumping, but he should be, within a week. But we got to get him into practice and try the bumping first.
Any more definitive timeline on Foligno and Bedard?
No, we should have more of an up-to-date, hopefully later today or tomorrow, but nothing at this point.
Any more details about the nature of Bedard's injury?
No, same. We'll know more. I think he's been in home seeing our guys, and we'll get. I haven't even seen him today, so we'll get more information hopefully tonight by game time or tomorrow.
Pitlick going from the AHL with Pittsburgh right to the first line, it looks like. What's the thought with that and the feedback?
Well, that's the type of player he is. He's a fast, dynamic player. I know him a little bit from Montreal when I was there, and that's what he can do. I think he would be. He's a guy. He's got speed. He can check because he'll play whatever you want him to play. But I think he's probably like a first line guy in the American League. And when he comes up here, his skill level can help out on the top six, and that's where he's going to be and help out on the power play with his speed and stick skills. And if he's not there, I don't know if it's the right place for him to be on the fourth line, but at the NHL level. So that's why I'm sure Pittsburgh had him playing down there a lot of minutes, ready to go. In case you lose someone in the top six, he's the type of guy that can step in and do that.
Is it a little bit of a psychological lift to be able to insert 3 new guys and not have 3 guys subtracted?
It was just nice to have bodies on practice, so we could have a full practice for a change. So I think there was a lot of excitement in the dressing room and on the ice today. So I think the guys feel that our team's getting healthier, and the guys were running on some fumes over the last few games, especially up front. So it's really nice to have some bodies back, and I think the guys are all embracing that.
You have some bias, but like you have a number of like smaller forwards. Any concern about that, particularly defensively?
No, I don't think so. I think Rem Pitlick is not the biggest guy, but he's adding speed, and if you play it right and you get guys have good angling, and you get big guys, even if they're big, and you get them stopped or turned back, well, then that's to your advantage. So that's what we have to do. We have to play smart and to our strengths. And our strengths isn't like a big LA Kings team or a bigger team like even Calgary the other night likes to get to the crease. We got to make sure we use our speed and try and outnumber them and put them in a bad spot and take that puck and run.
All right, that is Blackhawks head coach Luke Richardson there, and talking a lot about Rem Pitlick, gave him the Rem Murray reference. And you'll recall that Luke Richardson and Rem Murray played together on the 96-97 Oilers. And not a lot of Rems out there, although Rem Pitlick was a guy that Oiler fans thought, hey, he'd look good here. That was a few years ago, and he's kind of bounced around a little bit, and he'll be on the top line with the Chicago Blackhawks tonight, alongside Philip Kurashev as well as Taylor Raddysh. Okay, we are going to hear from Rem Pitlick. We do have Joaquin Gage standing by, but we'll go to Rem Pitlick in Chicago before we get to Gager.
It's been like for you, kind of bouncing around a bit.
Yeah, it definitely has been some up and down, but I've had some really good experiences, and I think I'll take those things and those learnings into now, and I believe I'm ready for this opportunity.
What's it like to step in when you get a top six role on power play? And I guess obviously you're always optimistic, but to step into such a big role right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm excited. I got some of those opportunities in Montreal, and so I've been in those spots for a little bit of time. So I'll kind of tap back into those times and those feelings, and yeah, I'm excited.
Kind of your view of the team, just from what you've seen this season, what's your kind of outside perspective?
It's a young group. There's been some injuries, and I think that's just the up and down of the hockey world. And I haven't been watching super closely, but I think that just from being here for an hour, I think everyone's positive and wants to work hard and turn it around here.
Do you know anybody on this team coming in?
A couple guys, mostly Joey Anderson, Minnesota guy. I played with Colin Blackwell and Jared Tenorti in the Nashville organization, and think my buddy played at Harvard, Ryan Donato. He played for his dad, and Ryan and I use one of the same trainers, so yeah.
What unique traits do you bring to the team?
I believe that I have my skating ability, and I think that allows me to be a 200-foot player. I'm not the biggest guy, so I'm not always the most physical, but I think I have an active stick to disrupt plays, and I think some hockey IQ and a passing ability to make some plays and contribute offensively as well.
It's good to have some familiarity with Luke Richardson too from your time in Montreal.
Yeah, for sure, and that was a situation where I got a good opportunity, and it was cool that Luke was there and he got to see me in some of those spots. So hopefully there's a connection, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so there's Rem Pitlick, who will make his Blackhawks debut tonight. In 32 games with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, he has scored 8 goals, 16 assists, 24 points, and added 10 penalty minutes as well as a -7. Last year, split between the Habs and the Laval Rocket. He had 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points, and -15 in 46 games with the Habs. And when he was down in the AHL last year, he chipped in with 5 goals, 17 assists, 22 points in 18 games. So his AHL numbers, he's an NHL guy, but I guess a tweener would be a good way to describe him. But like Luke Richardson was saying, he's too good to be a bottom 6 guy or a 4th line guy at the NHL level. And that's why he's giving him a shot as a top line guy tonight on that first line for the Blackhawks. Rem Pitlick will play with Philip Kurashev and Taylor Raddysh. And you know what? We do have Taylor Raddysh before we get to Joaquin Gage. Trev, you want to play Taylor Raddysh first before we get to Gager?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay, let's do that.
I feel like I've kind of gotten better every day, and it's nice to get out there with the guys and pregame skate, and we'll hopefully be in tonight and be ready to go.
How much of it is also just needing you tonight and pushing a little bit earlier than maybe you originally thought?
I don't think you ever want to push, I guess, really an injury just to kind of make it worse. But when guys go down, it obviously sucks. And the way it's been for us the last couple of weeks, it's kind of people have never seen that, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's almost I feel ready to go. The trainers have done a great job with me, and give myself the best chance to get back as quick as I can. And yeah, we've kind of talked well, and it's looking pretty good today.
How did it happen originally? It wasn't really obvious to us.
Yeah, everyone thought it was in the corner, and we were talking the other day about it, and it was just right at the start of the game, my first stride, I just kind of slipped, and I didn't fall, but it just kind of felt its weak, and then kind of just knew right away, and you kind of feel it, and it's kind of a crappy thing when it's so little, and you do the same thing every game to warm up and things like that, and then little tweaks like that happen, but yeah, it's lucky it wasn't a long one, and I'm happy to be trending in the right direction.
Were you surprised when Bedard's injury happened? It's shocked as much to you as it was to everyone else.
Yeah, it's obviously tough to see, and when you kind of see him leave, you never know what it could be. We were sitting up top, so you kind of were hoping maybe it was a cut, if anything at all. And yeah, but obviously with an injury like that, it's never fun to see, especially a guy like him. And you just want him back as quickly as he can, and he'll be doing the right thing as he get back as fast as he can.
Have you been on a team with a string of injuries like this before?
No, I don't even know. I can't even remember seeing a team with this many, and it's everyone's been kind of just a joke in the room that it's maybe pulling us all together a little more, and kind of everyone's got to work for each other a little harder, and we're missing some big pieces to our lineup, and we just got to keep working as a full group and be ready every night when whoever's in the lineup.
There's Taylor Raddysh. He has 5 goals, 5 assists this season in 35 games. And alluding to the injury situation for the Blackhawks, it's not good. Bedard, IR, fractured jaw. Hall, IR, knee. Foligno, IR, fractured finger. Anthony Beauvillier, IR, upper body. Tyler Johnson, IR, undisclosed. Seth Jones, IR, shoulder. Andreas Athanasiou, IR, groin. And they just got Joey Anderson back. They're throwing Rem Pitlick in, and they just are getting Taylor Raddysh back as well. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, thank you. Smash that thumbs up button, please, and thank you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so as well. We're marching towards 7,000 subscriptions, and let's keep that momentum going. All right. Time now to bring in our game analyst, the one and only Joaquin Gage, as we get set for Game Changers. Gager, we got a Rem Murray reference from Luke Richardson earlier. We also had people confusing Rem Pitlick with Tyler Pitlick, not to be confused with Lance Pitlick, the Ottawa Senator from the 90s. And so all these wires getting crossed on a snowy and cold day in good old our town. You look very cozy and warm and content. What do you make of all of this?
Well, that traffic sucks. It's a rough one out there. I was a little bit worried, Tommy, actually, having to get out there and get my daughter from school and get back in time for this. So glad everything worked out. So if I look a little flushed, it's because of the stress of battling the drive home today. But I like the Rem Murray reference. Rem was one of the ultimate glue guys in the room. Like you're hard pressed to find anyone to say something bad about that guy. The best was when the Rem brothers got together, because they were actually really good dancers. And if you got them all out on the dance floor, it was a spectacle to see these guys. Yeah, I remember one time. I don't know if I should. But anyway,
do it.
We were at some establishment, and the Murray brothers were all together, but there was like a rugby team in town, and these guys were huge, right? And the Murrays were quite slight, but they got out on the dance floor with all these rugby players, because the rugby players were and they started doing some synchronized moves together, and they took over. They were the life of the party, and kind of took the thunder away from, so to speak, from the rugby players. They weren't impressed with how things were going. No, it almost boiled over, but how funny they were with dancing. I think the rugby guys finally embraced them, and it turned out to be a pretty good night. But it was touch and go there for a bit.
Rem Murray seemed like such a quiet guy, Gager. Like you never
Oh, no.
really heard him speak up, I don't think.
No, he's life of the party.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you some Rem stories later.
All right. I appreciate that. See, we're trying to make the drive home for some people a little less stressful. And it's those types of stories that let them take their mind off of the anger and frustration of basically every single road in this city being a backlog. So we need stuff like that. And Gager, we thank you for it and for stepping up today. Cass still under the weather. If you want to get your thoughts in, hit us up 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. Maybe you could even coax Gager into telling another story or two from his playing days with the Edmonton Oilers. Just fire us a note as we roll through the evening. Oilers and Blackhawks tonight down at the United Center. Edmonton looking to make it 8 straight wins. The Hawks coming off a 4-3 victory on Sunday over the Calgary Flames. Joaquin Gage, I'm going to throw the question of the night at you before we get into Game Changers formal. Question of the night is this: on the verge of another 8-game winning streak, how many games do you think the Oilers extend this current heater to? What would you say, Gager?
Tommy, I really think that's completely in the Oilers' control right now, is how many of these games that they want to win, because the level that they're playing at is so high. The fact that other teams have to match that execution and intensity is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Can they keep this up? We'll probably see a game where maybe so you don't have everyone pulling on the rope at the same time, right? They're getting consistent efforts throughout the whole lineup. You talked about it with Dusty on Oil Stream. I think we anointed Stuart Skinner in stealing a game in Los Angeles, right? So the Oilers are a good enough team where they can have maybe not a consistent level of play throughout the entire lineup, and just have certain players perform at a level that's good enough to win. This is one of those nights. But I to tell you the truth, I don't like these types of games when they go into where they should win. I like when they're going, okay, we have to bring our best effort, or we could get embarrassed here. It's a dangerous team, the Blackhawks right now, to the extent that there's a lot of guys that aren't in the lineup. This is a showcase for them. There's a lot of positions that are going to be open up on this team moving forward. This is a good chance for young players to show what they're capable of with some of the regulars out of the lineup. You want to make sure that, I've said it before, just don't give them a reason.
I appreciate that very much. All right. Let's get into Game Changers, as always, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. He's community driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Number 1 on Game Changers tonight, Joaquin. Can't see the line, you can Russ. And I hope I read that text right earlier today.
Maybe I wrote it wrong. It's can't see the line, can you, Russ? Since we're in Chicago, it's one Clark Wilhelm Griswold's line in the mall when he's looking for something for his wife. So when you look at the Oilers season, right? And what I mean by that is they've gotten back into a position to the line of getting into a playoff spot, right? But the work is not done here. You know, there's a certain sense of accomplishment for sure. They've done something that I didn't see coming. I really didn't think that they would get back into where they are until I would say maybe the end of February, just how things were going at that time, right? So don't stop here is essentially what I'm saying, Tommy. Make sure that, we've gotten to this point. I think that we've heard Coach Knoblauch talk about sections of the season. I think an 8-game segments is kind of what he was looking at. So just simplify everything, dominate your segments, and, you know, by all accounts, these guys could be looking at a spot within the Pacific Division by the end of February.
That's crazy, isn't it? They are holding down the second wild card spot as of today. Taking a look at the standings, heading into action tonight. Edmonton with that 7-game heater at 41 points. St. Louis also at 41 points, but on the outside looking in because they've played 2 more games than the Oilers have. Nashville has wildcard spot number 1 with 45 points. They've played 4 more games than the Oilers have. And then if you're talking, like you referenced, Gager, about those top 3 spots in the Pacific Division, LA currently sits at 46 points. They have played 36 games as well as the Oilers have. So they played no games in hand for the Oilers, essentially. The Golden Knights through 40 games have 51 points, so 10 up on Edmonton. And then the Canucks running away with it now with 55 points through 40 games and 6-2-2 in the last 10 for the Vancouver Canucks. So Edmonton's got a chance to close in on LA, maybe make up some ground on Vegas. They still have a bunch of games against the Golden Knights. They've got a bunch of games against the LA Kings. They will see Nashville again this year, and that's who they are chasing right now. And then at the same time, now the Oilers have to keep teams at bay because the Kraken also have 41 points through 39 games. I should have mentioned that. Oh, by the way, Arizona, who all of a sudden's dropped 3 in a row, has 40 points through 38 games. So it's tight. It is really tight in that race for the wild card spots as we approach the midway point of the season. All right, the first one was not a Vegas vacation, but a vacation reference. Can't see the line, can you, Russ? What scene is that again? Can you? That movie was on the other day.
Vacation.
Oh, Christmas vacation. Okay.
When he's looking for something for his wife, and Russ sees his dad over at the counter, and the young attractive woman was showing her undergarments, so to speak, and to Clark, with Griswold's surprise, his son was standing right there.
Thank you. As you know, I'm not a Christmas vacation guy. I'm a Vegas vacation guy. And then the original vacation was on the other day, and I watched until the scene after Christy Brinkley jumps in the pool, and then Ellen gets very upset with Clark, and then Audrey and Rusty have a conversation while Audrey's lighting a cigarette, or was it a joint at that point?
What a great show.
Yeah, it's yeah, good series for sure.
Well, we'll sit down and watch next year. Christmas vacation, you and I, buddy.
Okay, I just feel like I wouldn't like it regardless. I've seen enough of it, but Vegas vacation is my favorite one. Number 2 on Game Changers tonight. No wind in this city.
Well, Chicago known for the Windy City. Again, what I alluded to earlier, Tommy, is just don't let the Chicago Blackhawks feel good about themselves, right? Like there's going to be a lot of hungry players on them. Don't give them a reason to think they're anywhere close to doing something within this game. No small little victories. And I think that can be accomplished just by the way that the Oilers have been able to manage their game over this amazing stretch run that they're on right now. Pucks deep, making it hard on the young defensemen. Lots of pressure up ice. Like I don't want to, in certain points in this season, the start of the game, and not all games, like some of those starts with the McDavid line, looks like they started the game on the power play, but it's a feeling out process, so to speak, once the puck drops. Establish how you are going to play right away. Let the Blackhawks think, oh, we gotta do something to stop this. Just dictate how this game goes. This first period, the first goal, I think, is really important. Just to the fact where if the Oilers can come out within those first 10 minutes, kind of dominate, maybe get on the power play, get a quick one, and just put these guys in the rearview mirror.
Gager, with all the AHL talent on this roster and depth guys and all of that, can it be dangerous? I mean, these guys don't want to get embarrassed. Like, how, if you were in the Hawks position and you were a guy that has been called up, or you've got to face off against, McDavid, Draisaitl, and a red hot Oilers team, like, how would you be personally approaching this game? And then how would your teammates who just got called up and are new to the team would be approaching it as well?
Well, you find out a lot about yourself from a goalie's view, Tommy. I think you relish an opportunity like this, and it's probably the same for most people. But for going up against arguably the best team in the NHL that's playing right now, going up against two of the top players on the planet, Stuart Skinner going up against an all-star as a goalie, like you relish these opportunities and the chance to really pique the interest in the coaching staff, your the brass, so to speak, all the scout, like people want to see how guys respond, especially in situations where your team is facing a lot of adversity. Opportunity, I think, is what if I could sum it up in one word about this game, if I was playing for the Chicago Blackhawks, I would say this is an opportunity to show everyone, if I'm not a regular in the lineup, of what I'm capable of doing. So that's the danger of this game. There'll be a lot of desire on that Chicago Blackhawks team to perform. But saying that, there's a lot of guys that aren't used to probably playing with one another too. So the Oilers can really take advantage of that. Probably not a lot of chemistry that you'll see in the Chicago Blackhawks lineup.
To Edmonton's credit, they've done a pretty good job of what you just said, is take advantage and handling these scenarios. Anaheim and San Jose, the perfect examples, I would say. So more of that, I guess, Gager, and not letting these guys out of desperation from the Blackhawks side of things hang around and get some hope, I suppose.
Exactly.
But it'll be interesting to see. And like you alluded to, that first shift, if it could be like a power play shift that leads to a goal, fantastic. All right. It is Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Remax Elite, Joaquin Gage in for Matty Cassian. Cass still fighting it a little bit, that nasty, nasty cold that he's been dealing with for the last couple of weeks. Number 3 on Game Changers tonight, Gager. Own the house that Struddy built.
Yeah, some people think it was Michael Jordan. We all know the real reason the United Center is what it is today, and that's our pal Jason Strudwick, right?
Yes.
So now these 2 points that are available tonight, Tommy, are let's just say well distributed so far throughout this season. But when you take the tally at the end of the year, and there's always those certain games you're like, oh God, if we would have just put in an effort there in that game where it was a very winnable situation, very winnable game. You got to take advantage of these things. These are the 2 points that, it's going to catch some teams off guard and can make a whale of a difference. We talked about the getting back into the fight of the Pacific Division. We saw Chicago. I mean, it wasn't a home game, but they're beating the Calgary Flames, right? So these points are really important because they're the ones that you kind of, when you sit back and look at the schedule, you're kind of circling that appointment as a victory for your team. So treat it like Struddy's house when he invites you over for dinner. You drink all his port, you slam back a couple of his China Whites, take the 2 points and get out of there.
And dance to ABBA.
If he's got that rolling too, probably is.
He's probably got it ready to go on the vinyl. 780-218-9999. If you have any questions for Gager, fire them our way, and then via the nasty chat. Also, if you're just tuning in, smash the thumbs up as we get you set for the Oilers and the Blackhawks right here on the Oil Stream pregame show on Edmonton Sports Talk. If you're listening in your car on your drive home, hopefully we can ease some of the stress of what is probably a really, really frustrating drive. And then if you're at home and cozy and good to go, well, just settle in. We'll get you ready for tonight's game. Puck drop about 35 minutes away down in Chicago as the Oilers kick off a 3-game road trip. I do have a couple of texts that I need Gager to hang around for. We've got some stuff to talk about. And I'm going to start with Mike in Thunder Bay, who says, hey, Tommy, Oilers are a better team than anyone on their January schedule. Next week will be the toughest of the month. The Oilers are rolling and will want to beat the Leafs and divisional opponents. So if they don't lose to Detroit or Montreal, I could see them extend their win streak to 13 or 14. They will be past Vegas and the Kings in that time, both of whom are reeling right now. That comes in from Mike in Thunder Bay. And Gager, I believe you are now the new judge of hot takes, of scalding hot takes, correct?
That is correct. I just got my I passed the bar,
Yep.
and I'm ready to go. We're working out outfits, Dusty and I. He's going to send over some design options for me to look at. But and if anyone knows, I've been looking. I've been scouring the internet for a gavel, but we'll see what we can do.
Amazon, I would assume Amazon's got one.
It's got to be. I can't wait to hammer that thing.
Mike in Thunder Bay says they could run it to 13 or 14. What has to happen outside of the fact they have to just outright win those games? But and then Mike in Thunder Bay also says that the Oilers could catch a reeling Vegas team and a reeling Kings team. What say you?
Well, over the full course of 82 games, there's going to be peaks and valleys, right? And we didn't think the Oilers were going to stay in the valley that they went in at the first 2 months of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to get on I knew there was going to be a point in the season where they got in a bit on a roll. And just how poorly things went, and some to draw upon that experience, they just don't want to get back into that gutter, Tommy. So there was going to come a point in the season where things weren't going to go well for either the Kings or the Golden Knights as well. It's the nature of the business. They've kind of caught a little bit of lightning in the bottle here, where they're rolling. Like the roles have completely reversed for them, in my opinion. Not that the Knights and the Kings are playing poorly like the Oilers were, but it's a chance to really make up some ground with some victories here because of the way that they're playing, right? So we see last year was a perfect example. The Oilers were going great, but so were those teams as well, and it was so hard to gain any traction and try to leapfrog these teams. So again, I mean, of course you want to keep focusing on your opponent tonight. Don't look past the Chicago Blackhawks, but the opportunity to close that gap within that Pacific Division is this is a key part in their schedule to get these 2 points.
Take advantage for sure. It is the Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage, and YouTube Trev with you. 780-218-9999 if you want to text in. And then if you're watching on the YouTube channel, Nasty Chat, get in there. This one from DJC via the inbox says, with the terrible roads, I'm just curious what Gager's best or worst travel story is from his playing days. Inclement weather, perhaps, Joaquin?
Well, you're always. One time we were a little worried. We had to exit the bus, but this was this was when I was with Team Canada. We were actually in Slovakia at this hotel. It was called the 5-Star Hotel. It looked like something out of The Shining because we were the only ones there, and it was like 300 units, no other visitors because, well, I don't think anyone could afford this place, and full staff. So we felt like kings while we were there, but getting there, like the switchbacks, the roads were quite thin and it was icy, and we actually had to start pushing the bus back on the road because it was sliding toward, it was going to go down the mountain. And I was more worried about my stuff in my bag. We were trying to get all our stuff like at our hockey gear because we would have been completely screwed if this thing went over the edge. But needless to say, the strength of myself and a few other great guys on that team, we were able to save the bus and get to this fantastic hotel, which was ours for a few days.
Jeez. Do you remember the movie Euro Trip?
Yeah.
When they went, they go to some like 5-star hotel. I don't know which Eastern European country it was, but they're like, all we have is like $1.50 in American money. And they pull out a nickel, and the one guy slaps the other guy and says, I quit. And he takes it and leaves.
Yeah, it was essentially like that. Wow. Like the dinners, we were in this big, huge ballroom, and there was like, it was very uncomfortable because
Really?
who were we, right? We were just a bunch of hockey players, but there was like staff standing behind us, and like we would get served this 10-course meal, and as soon as basically you ate your last bite, someone would be there like white gloving it, grabbing the plate and taking it away. Like it
Wow.
was it was fun. Like there was a lot. I remember actually, I believe that's the place Tom Rennie. I probably shouldn't be saying this either, but Tom had a longer night that night and came back, and we played the next day. He was he was out with I believe it was the Slovakian contingent of their Hockey Slovakia, and he didn't get back to the wee hours in the morning and was yelling where he couldn't remember where his room was. So
No.
it was a rough day the next day for Tom. Let's just say that.
He was fighting it the next day. Tom Rennie. I love it. All right. This one comes in and says, has Connor Brown been waiting for the A&W goal song to score tonight? That's from Roland. And then I saw a couple others. Jenna wants to know, hey, Gage, have you ever played with Dan Curry in AHL Cape Breton? The guy was a hell of a shooter. Did you play with him?
No, never played with him. Dan Curry was a slot machine. Just that guy was built to score goals. I don't know him well. I do remember a story of Slats phoning him to call him up, and Cur Dog, so his nickname moniker, told him no and hung up the phone on him. And then so it went back to bed. Slats called him again. So the story goes. I cannot confirm or deny, but I got this from a trusted source.
As you've been told.
Slats called him back, and Dan said, no, I don't want to come. You're just gonna call me up. I'm gonna play 4 minutes on the fourth line, and after the game, you're gonna send me back down. And I guess Slats went into this. No, Dan, we need you. You've been lighting up the minors. We need a scoring touch up top. We want to see what you can really do. We can't wait to have you up here. Come on, we need you. And so Kurdog gets all excited, gets up to Edmonton, goes right to the fourth line, plays 3.5 minutes, and gets sent down right after the game. So but a beauty. There's a I don't think it's there anymore, but there's a bar in Sydney, Nova Scotia. It was called Smooth Herman's. I think it was the only bar in Canada that was open till 4 a.m. Kurdog's, both his 50-goal pucks were plaqued behind the bar. So
no way.
Yeah, let's just say he spent a lot of time in there.
Valued customer at, what was it called? Slimy Hermans?
Smooth Hermans. Oh, it got sloppy later. Trust me, Tom.
Yeah, I would only imagine.
It was smooth for a while.
Oh boy, I love it. Yeah, I can't imagine that travel to get to Edmonton from Cape Breton was easy. Like, would you have to go to Toronto or Montreal to Edmonton? Like, what was that like?
It was the saddest trip down because there were multiple layovers. It seemed like it took you 36 hours to get down when you got sent down. The one year, Freddie Brathwaite and I were yo-yoing a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd get sent down, he'd get called up, and I don't know how this happened, Tommy, but every time we got sent down, we would pass each other in the terminal.
No.
At some point. So it happened. The one time it happened, and I remember I got sent down, and Freddie was getting called up, and I saw him from a distance, and he was just imagine George Jefferson walking through Pearson. As I see this guy, he was moving on up to the big leagues.
Yeah.
And I was just miserable. But he saw me and completely stopped and was like, he gave me a high five as we walked back because we had to get to our next thing. Yeah. And then same thing, like a month later, I get called back up. He gets sent down and we pass each other again. And he's looking like someone just shot his dog. And I'm pumped and can't wait to get back up to the big club. So, it was long, it sucked, but very different, two different aspects, definitely in those Pearson Airport visits with Fred Brathwaite.
Jenna adds, Smooth Hermans had a secret green room behind the stage. Dirty.
Jeez, that's I never got back there. I wasn't close to the dance floor back then. Well, shouldn't say always, maybe in the 3:00 hour.
Ooh, I like that. All right, one more for you, Gager, as we get set for the Oilers and the Blackhawks. Puck drop at about 25 minutes. Coach Mike wants to know, does Gager think Chris Knoblauch has the last 9 games planned out for goalie starts before the All-Star break? What say you?
Great question. I was thinking about that too today, because when you sit back and look at everything, I'm thinking, well, everyone thinks that Pickard's going to play against the Blackhawks. And this is 2 times now that that this doesn't happen. Like I mentioned, if you're a young player going up against the Oilers from the American League, it's an opportunity. I think there's a way that that Knoblauch is implementing his goalies that this is a game that should win. You put Stuart Skinner in; he's been going quite well. But I like the fact that he's giving Pickard a little bit more responsibility with his starts, right?
Yeah.
We saw him go against the Devils, right? No one saw that really coming. And he's performed quite well against some of the best opposition in the league. I think that's important because, if I don't think you want your backup only playing against the bottom feeder teams, right? The games that you're supposed to win. You want to have him go up against a team where, not that it doesn't mean a lot to win, Tommy, but 2 points against the Sharks just doesn't resonate as much as 2 points against the Los Angeles Kings, right?
Fair point.
Just it'll boost, it lifts you up a little bit. So I like what he's doing. I hope that they find a little bit more starts for Pickard to get in there and be comfortable, keep him ready just in case something does happen.
Gager, the one motivation, and maybe in the short time that Chris Knoblauch has been the coach in Edmonton, that we get a bit of a tell, and maybe it comes from Dustin Schwartz. I'm not so sure, but he has played Calvin Pickard against the Devils, like you alluded to, twice. Calvin Pickard's perfect against New Jersey over the course of his career. Now we're going to see Stuart Skinner play against the Blackhawks. Stuart Skinner is perfect at 3-0 against the Blackhawks. And then on Thursday, Calvin Pickard, before he signed with the Oilers organization, spent all of last year, obviously, in Bakersfield, gets his chance this year with Jack Campbell's situation. Calvin Pickard will face his old team, because he was with Detroit and in that organization for 3 years. Do you think that that's a motivating factor? By the way, Calvin Pickard versus Detroit, 2-1 record in his life.
Definitely, I think there's something when you look at records that goalies have against certain teams. I think you'd be crazy not to take that into consideration when you're looking for starts for maybe your number 2 guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Familiarity with the team. Shooters' tendencies, I think, really helps as well. If sitting back, if we didn't know, like if this was yesterday, and we didn't know who was starting tonight, I would have thought that Pickard would get this and Skinner would get the Thursday game against the Red Wings, right?
Yeah.
But again, a little bit more responsibility. You definitely don't want to sleep on the Red Wings, right? They're a good, solid team. I know they started off well and kind of dropped off a little bit, but I think in the grand scheme of things, you consider them a tougher opponent than the Chicago Blackhawks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I think this is a great move by Coach Knoblauch, and I've said this before. There's just these little subtle things that he does, and again, I don't know if I was paying enough attention when Woodcroft was head coach of the Oilers, but there's just these little things that I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So very, lack of a good vocabulary, very cool coaching style that we're seeing from Coach Knoblauch.
Like nifty or savvy, something like that. Yeah.
Like when he talks, it's just he gives you a lot when he speaks, but it's delivered in such a mellow way.
Yeah.
And I can see how that in a dressing room, as he conveys his message to his team, like that, it's a very calming influence, right? So it's different, but man, I mean, what is he? The first time a first-year coach has had 2 back-to-back 7-game win streaks or something like that.
Jack,
that's
Jack had that stat. It's like back there multiple 7-game win streaks or on the cusp of multiple 8-game winning streaks within the first 25 games coach. It's an obscure stat. It's a crazy one, but obscure at the same time.
But, you gotta give credit where credit's due. This is a guy that's, coached 1 game in the NHL before this and comes into a situation, a Canadian market, first of all, a team that has very high expectations, and he's been able to I would say put his stamp on things so far in his short tenure as head coach of the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, so far so good for sure for Chris Knoblauch, 17-6 as Oilers head coach since taking over for Jay Woodcroft. Gager, one last text here says, Spruce Grove Corey, 6 o'clock, crack 'em if you got them. And he sent us a picture of a 6 o'clocker lager, which, by the way, Alley Cat put out today on their social media. They're canning and labeling the 6 o'clocker lager 3rd batch. And I think by the 14th or 15th, Gager, we'll be able to get our hands on that delicious, delicious sweet nectar of the gods.
If you are coming maybe from downtown to the south side, I already gave it up today on 2 guys, but on 109th, the Sobeys liquor store has quite a few 6 o'clocker lagers still available. Don't know if they're still there. I was there 2 days ago. I only bought a couple. I didn't clean them out. But if you're on your way home and need some of the silky suds, maybe you want to stop in there and grab yourself a 4-pack.
Well done, Gager. That's Game Changers. Fantastic work as always, my friend. Thank you for stepping in for Cass again, and I'll talk to you tonight after the Oilers game.
Awesome, buddy. Talk to you then.
That's Joaquin Gage, our game analyst, filling in for the banged up, still ill Matty Cassian, who hopefully will be good to go by Thursday. If not, we are lucky to have guys like Joaquin and Sean Bell available most of the time, pretty much all the time. We were lucky to have Ben Scrivens the other night step in for everybody because everybody was unavailable from an analyst standpoint. And we appreciate and value and love those guys very, very much. So great stuff from Joaquin on Game Changers this evening as you make your way home or you settle in and get set for the Oilers game because you're already home after driving on those treacherous roads as winter has arrived with a fury. Game Changers, as always, brought to you by our good friend Damon Bunting at Remax Elite. Check him out if you're looking to get into the market or sell your place, DamonBunting.com. or visit his Instagram page at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Let's check in with YouTube, Trev. What's going on? Are you alive?
I am, most definitely alive. Sorry, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't checking in a heck of a whole lot with what you and Gage were saying. I'm showing the ropes, obviously. I'm training. So, there's a lot of questions asked, and I delivered. So that's what I was doing.
Good.
So, it's going good, Tommy. I'm ready for this.
Very encouraged that Zach is asking a lot of questions. I hope you have the answers. I feel like you do. You've been quite astute in your first few months. And I think it's a good thing. So I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah, man. He's a way quicker learner than I was. I tell you that much. So it's good. He's gonna steal the show one day for sure.
All right. Good. Let's get into some. I actually want to bring this up before I get into some text. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us. And then Nasty Chat. I'm kind of keeping tabs there. What is everyone saying? You guys are talking about Gager's microphone and what kind of mic it is. It is a Snowball. That's the type of mic it is. It's actually pretty good. I also, Dr. Gonzo's right. I do have the same one, except mine is silver instead of white, and I like to keep mine off camera. It's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever sounds good. So that is the type of mic, the Snowball, and it replaced my crappy lavalier microphone that I thought was good, but it wasn't. It's been better, hasn't it, Trev?
Yeah. Me and Zach were just talking. It sounds way better than the previous one, in our opinions, for sure.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. Dell says, Gazzy, you woke up YouTube, Trev. Good. He needs to be awake. We need him to be on his toes, as always. Okay, I want to bring this up. We do know that Connor McDavid is going to the All-Star game. The 32 original players for the All-Star game were selected last week, and then there will be 44 total players going to the NHL All-Star weekend in Toronto. The last dozen will be selected via fan vote. And today we got our first batch of results to get us up to speed on where things are at right now from the league. And so right now, Canucks goalie Thatcher Demko and Leafs forward William Nylander are the top vote getters to date. Goalie and player, obviously, categories there. There's been more than 20 million votes that have been cast in the 5 days since voting opened. Voting remains open at nhl.com/vote or via Twitter, or X as it's known as now, and it runs through to the 11th. Every retweet vote cast via X on Wednesday, January 10th will count twice. So if you want Evan Bouchard to get in, because he's on the vote-in ballot, or if you want Zach Hyman, who's on pace for a 50-plus goal season, to get in, or if you want Leon Draisaitl to get in, tomorrow on X, aka Twitter, retweets will count as double according to the league, and then you can go to the league's website and vote. So right now, Nylander leads the charge for skaters, Makar is behind him, and then Leon Draisaitl is in third. Nylander at 744,900 votes as of this morning. Makar was at 664,000 votes. Draisaitl at 567,000 votes. Then you got Pettersson, Marner, Miller out of Vancouver, Besser out of Vancouver, obviously, Panarin, Rantanen, Hyman. He's down there in the rankings at 307,000 votes. And then Evan Bouchard is in last place when it comes to skaters. He is at 174,400 votes. So tomorrow, Oil Country, is a big day. Your retweets count as 2 votes for your favorite players. So if you want to vote in Draisaitl or Hyman or Bouchard, retweet tomorrow, and then also go and do the traditional voting on the NHL.com/vote site. Goalie-wise, obviously no Oilers goalies in the running for a vote-in, but Demko's at 788,000 votes, so Canucks definitely getting a lot of representation, having a very strong season. Bobrovsky second at 440,000. Jeremy Swayman at 381,000. Then you got Georgiev, Ullmark, Marc-Andre Fleury, Aiden Hill, and UC Saros rounding out the other goaltenders in the vote category. So that's the case there. Who do you think should be getting in? How would you strategically get your fellow Oilers fans to get these guys into the game to have as much representation as possible? I do feel like Nylander's probably getting in. Good chance Marner does as well. Maybe even they sneak in O'Reilly or Tavares because there's a lot of Leafs fans, and I feel like they're going to be retweeting tomorrow. What do you think of that, Trev? That strategy to get the double count for the retweets tomorrow?
Yeah,
one day.
Yeah, I'm all for it. It might help some of the Oilers. Evan Bouchard, that's for sure. I'm not really that surprised, but it's new. It's different. They're keeping the fans engaged in new ways. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm honestly impressed by some of these numbers. I'm happy they released them because I'm just looking at them now. But yeah, that's insane. Good for Leon Draisaitl. He definitely should be there. Kind of surprised Mika Zibanejad's that down. And Luke Hughes ahead of both Zibanejad and Bouchard. So kind of surprising, but no, I'm all for it. It's new. And people like new. So, yeah, I like it.
I think the strategy, too, this year is because people are wondering, like, is it East-West? Is it divisions? I believe that they're doing the draft. And you were pointing out some other details about the draft, right? What were you saying to me the other day? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. So it's a draft. Actually, I'm not sure if they can draft, here, I might have to quickly do some research, but
anyway, it's a draft. It's basically pick
Yeah.
pick sticks in the middle and pick your guys.
Yeah, it hasn't been done. I know it hasn't been done since 2013, 2014 was the last time they did it, and I think it's God's saving grace that they're bringing it back. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. It keeps the fans engaged, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. I had a lot of fun, and it's nice to see the human aspect of these players. They're just boys having fun, and it's really cool. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch what they do this year, and hopefully I'm expecting a lot of laughs, which there should be.
Can you also do a vote in type of scenario like we saw with John Scott? Because my understanding is you can't.
No. That's they quit that. That was the last year. Yeah. Which is they didn't want any more of those. But I don't know. I thought that was my grade 12 year. That was my senior, and that was one of the favorite. I loved it. I loved every second of that, Tommy. But no, Gary Bettman, he doesn't want that going on anymore. So they're not. You can't vote in any single player in the NHL, which is why they have the selections they do.
No tomfoolery, no shenanigans at the NHL vote. So they ended that after fans got their way with John Scott making it. And he was the MVP. I remember that year in Nashville. It was a lot of fun to cover. The game has kind of been meh. And the skills competition, I like the one in Vegas. I didn't like the one in Fort Lauderdale last year. But anyway, if you want to get Evan Bouchard, Leon Draisaitl, or Zach Hyman into the All-Star game and on the roster, tomorrow retweets on X count for double, and then you can just go to nhl.com/vote to get your favorite Oilers into the game to join Connor McDavid. All right, this is one of 10 games on the schedule. We're going to go for a couple more minutes here. I'll get you up to speed on what's been going on so far in the National Hockey League, and then throw some stats your way, and then we're off and running as the Oilers take on the Blackhawks. Second time this season. They will meet 3 times. The Hawks will return to Edmonton later on this month on the 24th. Right now in the National Hockey League, the Seattle Kraken lead the Buffalo Sabres 4-2, 8 minutes left in the second period. The Kraken looking to make it 7 straight wins. They are 8-0-2 in their last 10 and looking good right now. Tampa trails LA in Tampa, 5 minutes or just under left in the second period there. The Toronto Maple Leafs up 4-1 on San Jose in Toronto with 6 minutes left to go in the second. After 2 on Long Island, the Canucks continue to roll 2-0. They lead the Islanders. No score midway through the first period between Nashville and Anaheim in the Music City. St. Louis up 1-0 on Florida midway through the first. Then you've got Winnipeg up 1-0 on Columbus in the Peg. 6 minutes remain there. You got Edmonton and Chicago coming up in about 10 minutes. And then Boston's at Arizona. The night winds down with Ottawa visiting the Calgary Flames. Some quick stats to throw your way. Oil coming off that 3-1 win over Ottawa on Saturday. The Hawks did get a win over the Flames on Sunday. They are wrapping up a brief 2-game homestand while the Oilers begin a quick 3-game road trip. Chicago, Detroit, Montreal on Saturday. Edmonton 9-9 on the road this season. The Hawks 8-9-1 at home. The Oil have won their last 2 visits to Chicago, and Edmonton 4-3-1 versus Central Division teams. The Blackhawks 4-4 versus the Pacific. Now, this is where the Oilers are going to have to be good. The Hawks special teams are awful. 29th on the power play, 17 for 126. In a world of hurt, missing all kinds of top-end talent offensively. Edmonton needs to be good on the PK when they take penalties, and then the Oilers need their power play to convert. Edmonton's power play 6th in the NHL at 26.1%. Got a couple the other night against Ottawa. The Blackhawks PK, 27th in the NHL, 74.6%. So there you have it. The Oilers looking to make it 8 in a row. We'll see if they can do it tonight against a really, really banged up Chicago Blackhawks roster. Chicago has Bedard, Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, Anthony Beauvillier, Tyler Johnson, Seth Jones, and Andreas Athanasiou all on the shelf due to injury. So we'll see if the Oilers can take advantage and do so quickly. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream pregame show. A big thank you to everyone who listened. Hopefully we made your commute home a little bit less stressful and you got to enjoy some of the story time from Joaquin, as well as breaking down what we expect in this game tonight. For YouTube, Trev and Joaquin Gage and Practicum student Zach, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the Hawks and Oilers. We'll see ya on the post-game show. Ciao for now.